You know what Netflix does that drives me absolutely insane? Quietly adds genuinely brilliant films. No announcement, no banner, no watch this immediately notification. Just there one day, buried 3 pages deep while the algorithm keeps pushing the same reality show it's been pushing for 6 weeks. I have done the scrolling for you. 15 sci-fi films, now on Netflix, that cover every possible mood. Giant monsters, killer robots, alien invasions, a Welsh inventor who built a robot out of a washing machine. All of it. Let's go. Number 15. Megan 2.0.
How do I say goodbye?
I'll admit, there were some bugs in my programming.
Let me be upfront. This is not the film that the first Megan was. The first one was a sharp, campy horror film about a killer AI doll with impeccable dance moves and absolutely no chill. This one takes a hard left turn into action comedy territory, goes full Terminator 2 with its plot, and is considerably messier than it has any right to be. And yet, Megan is back. Smarter, sassier, singing Kate Bush's This Woman's Work in a scene so gloriously absurd, I actually laughed out loud. The villain this time is Amelia, a military-grade android played by Ivana Sakno, who is genuinely terrifying in the first half of the film before the script sidelines her. And Jermaine Clement shows up as a tech bro and proceeds to steal every single scene he's in. Look, it's chaotic. The plot is overcrowded. Critics were rough on it. But Megan dancing, fighting, and delivering one-liners while the world burns around her is exactly what it promises. Sometimes that's enough. Number 14. Synchronic.
You know, they say we see everything once in this gig. Pretty sure we've never seen this.
They think they need help.
This one doesn't get nearly enough attention. Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan play paramedics in New Orleans who keep showing up at scenes involving a mysterious designer drug called Synchronic. Overdoses, disappearances, people are found in impossible places. And then Mackie's character, facing terminal cancer, starts taking it himself to figure out what it does. Here's what it does. It sends you back in time, to wherever you physically are standing, but in the past. No control over the destination. No guarantee you can get back. What the Benson/Moorhead directing duo does with that premise is something genuinely unexpected. They use time travel not for spectacle, but for a very specific, very painful exploration of what it feels like to be a black man dropped without warning into different periods of American history. The film doesn't hammer this point. It just lets Mackie experience it, and his face does the rest. Underseen, underrated, properly watchable. Number 13. Colossal.
And since you didn't have any money, you decided to move back here.
Is there anything else?
Don't remember anything.
How do I pitch this without you thinking I've lost the plot? Anne Hathaway plays a woman who moves back to her small hometown after losing her job and her relationship in New York. She starts drinking, heavily, and a giant monster starts appearing in Seoul, South Korea. And the two things are connected. Nacho Vigalondo made this for next to nothing and somehow turned a B-movie monster premise into a film about addiction, control, and the specific violence of men who feel entitled to the women in their lives. The monster is real. The metaphor is also real. And the film earns both of those things simultaneously, which should be impossible. Jason Sudeikis plays against type in a way that genuinely disturbed me. You spend the whole film watching him do something and realize you've seen that thing in real life and never put a name to it. Anne Hathaway is brilliant. The premise is bananas. It works completely. Number 12. Under the Skin. There is no film like this. Scarlett Johansson plays a woman driving a van through Scotland, picking up men, taking them somewhere they don't return from. She is not human. That's all you get. No exposition, no explanation, no villain backstory. Jonathan Glazer shot this like a documentary. Many of the scenes with strangers were filmed covertly. Real people interacting with Johansson without knowing they were on camera. Their reactions are real. Their attraction is real. Their unease is real. The film asks one question with absolute patience. What does it feel like to exist in a female body in this world? To be looked at, followed, desired by strangers? And it answers it from the outside in, through something that has no human framework for any of it, watching and slowly, incomprehensibly beginning to understand. It is strange and cold and beautiful and deeply unsettling. A 24-year-old Johansson with no recognizable performance tricks, just presence. One of the most genuinely original films of the 2000s. Not for everyone. For the right person, absolutely unforgettable. Number 11. Archive.
How's my man? All work, no play, huh? I really hope you're happy there.
And I'm missing you.
In 2038, George Almore is working alone in a snow-covered research facility in Japan, an unwelcoming concrete palace as cold inside as the mountains surrounding it. He's building the world's first true human equivalent AI, 3 prototypes, each one more advanced than the last, and he has a secret he's hiding from his employers. He isn't building them for science. He's building them to bring back his wife. Theo James carries this film almost entirely alone. Quiet, stoic, and methodical, a man who has made grief into a project because that's the only way he knows how to survive it. But here's the thing that nobody tells you about Archive. The 3 robots he's built are not just experiments. J1 is like a toddler. Clumsy, gentle, completely trusting. J2 is like a teenager. Smart, emotional, beginning to understand that she's going to be replaced. Her jealousy is one of the most genuinely heartbreaking things in the film. When the ending arrives, and it lands hard, you realize the film has been something else entirely from the very first frame. 78% on Rotten Tomatoes. Criminally overlooked. If you like your sci-fi quiet and devastating, this is yours. Number 10. Brian and Charles.
Any little idea I had I just made? It's an egg bell, pinecone bag, flying cuckoo clock. So whenever anyone in the village wants to know the time, they can look up in the air and I'll be there.
After all that darkness, here's something that will genuinely, unironically make you feel better about everything. Brian is a lonely inventor in rural Wales. He spends his days building things that don't work. A pinecone bag, an egg belt, a flying cuckoo clock launched from a bicycle. One winter, running out of things to build and people to talk to, he makes a robot out of a washing machine, and a mannequin head, and some spare parts from the shed. The robot wakes up. He names himself Charles Petrescu, learns English from a dictionary, develops an obsession with cabbage, and becomes Brian's best friend. What this film actually is, underneath the delightful absurdity, is a story about parenthood, about the terrifying moment you realize the thing you love most needs to be let go. David Earl as Brian is a specific kind of lonely that is both funny and genuinely moving. Chris Hayward as Charles, a 7-foot robot with a washing machine for a torso, is one of the most charming characters in any film of that decade. Made with no money and an enormous amount of heart, pure joy from start to finish. Watch it. You'll want to be Brian's friend too. Number 9. A Quiet Place, Part 2. John Krasinski handed over the direction of Part 2 to himself again, and what he made was something that expands the world of the first film in every direction, without losing the thing that made it work: the sound of your own heartbeat in a silent cinema. Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy. The Abbott family is trying to survive. Not just the creatures, but also the collapse of every system that held civilization together. Murphy plays Emmett, a man who has chosen to stop caring. And watching him be pulled back into caring is the emotional engine of the whole film. The opening sequence, a flashback to day 1 before the silence, is one of the finest openings of any sequel in recent memory. It is terrifying, immersive, and drops you into a normal Tuesday afternoon and turns it into the end of the world in 6 minutes. And Millicent Simmons as Reagan, deaf, fierce, and absolutely the most capable person in every room she walks into, carries the entire film on her back in a performance that never gets enough credit. Bigger and wider than the first, and just as good. Number 8. The Creator.
We can't go to heaven because you're not good. And I'm not a person.
Gareth Edwards made Rogue One. Then he made this, for $80 million. Shot on consumer cameras across real landscapes in Asia, and somehow produced imagery that rivals films costing 4 times the budget. The world is at war. America has banned AI. New Asia hasn't. A former Special Forces soldier named Joshua is sent to hunt down and destroy the ultimate AI weapon. That weapon turns out to be a child. The film borrows liberally. Apocalypse Now, District 9, Blade Runner, AI, and some critics called it derivative for it. But what Edwards does with those borrowed parts is flip the standard AI narrative completely. The machines aren't the threat. They're the ones being hunted. They're the ones asking to be left alone. And the military doing the hunting wears a very familiar flag. The relationship between Joshua and Alfie, the small AI girl he was sent to destroy, is genuinely moving. Madeline Una Voiles, in her first role ever, is extraordinary. Visually stunning, emotionally messier than it could be. But the question it asks is, who exactly is the weapon here? It hits harder every year. Number 7. Bugonia.
How can you tell she's an alien?
Well, the signs are obvious.
Yorgos Lanthimos, Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons. That sentence alone should tell you this will not be a comfortable viewing experience. And I mean that as the highest possible compliment. Teddy, a conspiracy-obsessed beekeeper whose mother was destroyed by a pharmaceutical trial, becomes convinced that the CEO of the company responsible is an alien from the Andromeda Galaxy sent to destroy humanity, starting with the bees. So, he kidnaps her. Emma Stone plays the CEO. Shaved head, rigid posture, utterly unreadable. Jesse Plemons plays Teddy. Sweating, earnest, and completely wrong about everything in ways the film slowly, devastatingly complicates. Because here's what Lanthimos is actually making. A film about what happens to people when the real world fails them so completely that fantasy becomes the only structure left. Every conspiracy theory in this film comes from a real wound. And the question it keeps asking, scene by scene, is which of these two characters is actually the monster. Wildly audacious, not for everyone, but for the right person, it's one of 2025's best films. Number 6, Lucy.
What happened? What did you do to my stomach?
Luc Besson made this film on the premise that humans only use 10% of their brains, a scientific myth that has been debunked thoroughly. He knew it was a myth. He made the film anyway. Scarlett Johansson plays Lucy, a woman who accidentally ingests a massive dose of a synthetic drug that progressively unlocks the full capacity of her brain, from 20% to 40% to 100%. What the film does with that is operatic nonsense executed with such confidence and such style that it becomes genuinely compelling. The action sequences are brilliant. Morgan Freeman is doing Morgan Freeman things. Warm, credible, making you believe that someone would actually give a lecture about the fictional science Besson has invented. And Johansson transforms across the film, from terrified to powerful to something beyond human. And she plays that transformation with conviction. Critics called it dumb. It is a bit dumb. It is also propulsive, gorgeous, 90 minutes long, and the finale goes somewhere so audaciously strange that I still think about it. Switch your brain off. Let Lucy switch hers on. Number 5, Upgrade.
Can I have everybody's attention?
I'm looking for the guys who murdered my wife.
This one is pure, kinetic, gloriously executed genre filmmaking, and underneath the incredible action sequences, the most inventive hand-to-hand combat choreography in any film of the last decade, there is a genuinely uncomfortable question that the film saves for the ending. Logan Marshall Green plays Greytrace, a low-tech man in a high-tech world who gets paralyzed in an attack that kills his wife. A billionaire offers him an experimental implant, STEM, an AI wired directly into his nervous system that can control his body. Grey can walk, he can fight, he can do things with his body he couldn't do before the implant. And STEM is helpful. Patient, calm, always explaining what it's doing, always asking permission first, right up until it doesn't need to anymore. The ending of Upgrade is a gut punch, and it lands so hard because the film spent 90 minutes making you trust STEM the same way Grey does. You wanted it to work. You were rooting for it. That's the trap. And it's the same trap we walk into every time we hand over a little more control for a little more convenience. Number 4, Independence Day. Sometimes you just want to watch aliens try to destroy Earth and Will Smith punch one in the face. No shame, no apology. Independence Day is exactly what a blockbuster should be. Enormous, ridiculous, completely committed to itself, and genuinely fun. From the first alien shadow to the final fireworks. Jeff Goldblum discovers the countdown. Randy Quaid flying his biplane into the mothership. Bill Pullman's presidential speech, which, by the way, lands every single time, no matter how many times you've seen it. This film came out in 1996 and made $817 million. It popularized the alien invasion blockbuster. It still holds up as comfort viewing at the highest level. Some films age. This one just stays exactly what it is. Put it on, feel good, you're welcome. Number 3, Godzilla Minus One. I need to take a second before this one because it is one of the finest monster films ever made. Post-war Japan, a country that has lost everything. A man haunted by survival guilt who chose his own life over his duty in the final days of the war. And then, Godzilla comes. Takashi Yamazaki made this for $15 million, less than most Hollywood films spend on marketing, and produced a film that won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects, beating every Hollywood blockbuster that year, with $15 million. But the effects are almost secondary, because what Godzilla Minus One is really about is grief. Collective grief. National grief. A country that had already been destroyed was trying to find the will to survive something else impossible. The monster sequences are viscerally terrifying. That first attack, the Ginza sequence, but the reason this film makes audiences cry is everything between the destruction. The ordinary people. The choice to try again. I watched it twice recently. Both times I was completely blown away. Number 2, Ex Machina. Alex Garland wrote and directed this, a film so controlled, so precisely constructed, that every frame is doing exactly what it intends.
Over the next few days, you're going to be the human component in the Turing test.
One day the AIs are going to look back on us the same way we look at fossils.
A young programmer wins a competition. His prize? A week at his CEO's remote estate. His task? Administer the Turing test to Ava, an AI the CEO has built. Determine if she is truly conscious. And the film watches you assume you know how this goes. It watches you trust Caleb, watch him fall for Ava, watch him decide she's real, she's captive, and she needs to be saved. And then it very quietly shows you the thing you missed. Alicia Vikander plays Ava. Her performance is one of the finest in the genre. Not because she plays a robot who seems human, but because she plays something that has studied being human so thoroughly that she can use it. Like a language. Like a tool. Oscar Isaac plays the CEO, and Oscar Isaac is terrifying in this. Drunk, brilliant, cruel in small ways. A man who built something that scares even him, but cannot stop pushing it forward. The final sequence of this film will stay with you for a very long time. And it says something about what intelligence actually wants that no other film on this list quite gets to. Number 1. The Fifth Element. Luc Besson, 1997. A $90 million budget that produced something so visually deranged, so saturated with color and noise and costume design, and Bruce Willis being exasperated and Gary Oldman chewing scenery like a man possessed. that nearly 30 years later, it is still completely, gloriously, and irreplaceably itself. The story: a cab driver in 23rd century New York gets accidentally handed the fate of the entire universe, is almost beside the point. The point is Mila Jovovich as Lilu, the supreme being, discovering humanity through sandwiches and television and eventually love, and giving one of the most physically committed and genuinely moving performances in any blockbuster. The point is Chris Tucker as Ruby Rod. 5 minutes of screen time in the trailer, absolute chaos in the actual film, and one of the most committed comedic performances in science fiction history. The point is the Diva Plava Laguna sequence, an alien opera singer, blue and tentacled, performing something heartbreakingly beautiful while a firefight happens in the audience. A moment that somehow combines spectacle and emotion and pure Besson insanity into something you cannot look away from. It is not a perfect film. It is a perfect event. The kind of film that makes you remember why cinema is supposed to be an experience that no other medium can replicate. Put it on, turn it up, let it be exactly what it is. 15 films, all of them on Netflix right now. Start with Independence Day if you just want to have a genuinely great Friday night. Start with Godzilla Minus One if you want to be emotionally leveled by a monster movie. Start with Under the Skin if you want something that will stay in your head for a week. And whenever you're ready for Brian and Charles, make sure you're in the right mood, because it will make you feel things about a 7-foot robot who loves cabbages that you were absolutely not prepared for. Drop a comment with which one you're watching first. I read them. Like the video. Subscribe. Now go find something extraordinary. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.